Well, I don't spend a lot of time lecturing, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. Actually, I don't. I drink Starbucks. Okay. Um, what I'd like to talk about here is just a few of my instructional examples. I can't spend a lot of time in this Prezi showing you everything I do. Ranging from the syllabus to the course calendar, to every single assignment clarification, to every single little lecture. But what I do like to do is I like to make sure that every assignment that I give a student is accompanied by a visually appealing document that very, very clearly states the goals first of the assignment, states how they fit in with the course goals, states how it fits in with the department goals or the university goals. That goes back to transparency, really trying to show the students why we're doing these assignments. Then, of course, the document carefully goes through the assignment, step by step. Here's what you need to do first. Here's what you need to do next. Here's why we're doing this. Here's what I hope you're going to learn. Here's the resources you need, that kind of thing. And then I like to usually end up with some help files, maybe, direct them to some specific help, or tell them where else they could go to find specific help with specific details. Like if they're doing a PowerPoint, I like to refer them to the Microsoft Office page. It has PowerPoint tutorials, those kinds of things, all right? So what I'm trying to get across here in this element of the Prezi is that I spend a lot of time, a lot of energy crafting documents that you don't get a guarantee that the students are reading, but at least they're there. And if a student comes back to me and says, hey, I don't understand the assignment, I say, well, make sure you've looked at this document first, okay? And then let me know if you've looked at that again, if you still have further questions. So I'm trying to be clear. At the same time, it goes back to course navigation. How many of these documents can you give the students? How much of this can you throw at them without them being really, really, overwhelmed? Okay, so there's a consideration there. Lecture itself, as I said at the beginning of this, I don't do a lot of it. I try to keep it limited to the weekly videos, which in essence are a lecture, although they're often kind of administrative and goal-oriented, that kind of thing. And then I do embed what I call mini lectures, no longer than 8 or 9 minutes the most, over specific detail that they might need to complete an assignment successfully. So for example, I've shown you here in my English W233 research paper writing, I've gone to the effort to give a specific mini lecture on how to effectively use JSTOR, the Homekey Library Database, JSTOR, why it's an effective database. I've tried to give them some examples. I deliver these lectures sometimes through YouTube, sometimes through Adobe Connect, which I like a lot. All right. In this case, I gave you an illustration of a YouTube lecture so that you can actually see it. The Prezi supports YouTube. Sometimes I just upload a photo story, Windows Media file. Sometimes I just upload a straight PowerPoint. Kind of depends on the topic, that kind of thing, how much time I think the student needs to deal with that. But I just want to show you a few instructional examples. I try to keep them very visual. I try to make them easy for the students to read. I believe, very strongly that we live in this age of visual communications where a lot of what we're doing needs to be, I call it chunks. There's chunks of information, chunks related to an image. It kind of helps the student walk through a document by keeping it visually oriented, everything from bullet points to numbers to actual images, that kind of thing. So I work very hard to keep the course attractive and pleasing and effective in terms of documentation. It's not easy, okay? And to be honest, I worry constantly that I give them too much stuff to look at, and I probably address that elsewhere in this Prezi. If not, I think I will be shortly. But in the mentoring process, I've learned, and through course navigation, when we talk about course navigation, that you can't give them too much. So there's a fine line, a fine balance here. And in my own case here with the Prezi, I've tried not to give you too much. So hey, I hope I've got a little bit of something out of this element of the Prezi, and that you'll move on to the next element shortly. Thank you.